Good morning, everyone. My name is Julie. I am the owner and founder of Lady Valtai. You are either watching this on my Facebook page, which is called Lady Valtai, or you are watching it on my YouTube channel, which is called Lady Valtai's Light Healing. Today we're going to be talking about the heart chakra and the tools to use if you are working on your heart chakra. Now, if you are working on your heart chakra and you don't have any tools, that's perfectly fine. You don't necessarily need tools. Tools just make things a little easier. You know, just a really stupid analogy would be you can certainly go out and catch fish with, your bare hands, just what you have. And you can certainly do that and accomplish your goal. But you can also get a fishing pole and a hook and worms and a lure, and it is much easier to catch a fish that way. So that's kind of how working with these tools are. They're not necessary. They just make things a little bit more, I don't want to say easier, because none of chakra work is really easy, but smoother, I guess, is maybe the word to use. But so we're going to go over some of the things I have here. Hopefully we'll have time to go over everything. So I'm going to jump right in here. Actually, I'm going to smudge a little first, if that's okay with everybody. My lighter is about to die, and my smudge bundle is just about at it. But I really don't like to be wasteful, so I'm going to do what I can to use the rest of this up. Probably what I'll do this weekend is I'll untie the rest of this and break it apart and use the pieces on my charcoal disc, because I think there's still some good pieces in there. I just can't get to them. I'm going to do a little Palo Santos real quick. It smells so good. All right. So let's go right to it here. All right. Clean up my space here a little bit. Okay. So we're jumping right into heart chakra and tools you can use while you're working on your heart chakra. So if you want to know more about the heart chakra, go back to the videos section of my Facebook page, and all of my videos are there. You can also, like I said, go to YouTube, because that's the reason I made YouTube, was because YouTube made it so much easier to find my videos than Facebook does. Facebook is getting better, but they're still not great about having all your videos just easily accessible in one spot, where that's exactly what YouTube does. Like, you go there and that's all it is just the videos, and you can go in and subscribe to my channel and look at all my videos, or you can do a search for them. I will tell you, I probably am not going to come up on a search. I don't have that many followers, and I don't have that many videos to be one of the top searches, but it's not really my goal. My goal was just for if somebody wanted to find my video, they could go to my channel and find it easily, compared to Facebook. So again, heart chakra tools. So we're going to jump in with goddesses, and you know, as usual, I apologize. I probably am not pronouncing a lot of these correctly. These have not been taught to me by someone. All of my learning, well, I shouldn't say, a big chunk of my learning is from reading. And so I don't have anyone to hear the pronunciations from. So I try to do my best, but if I say it incorrectly, just bear with me. So we're going to start out with goddesses to work with for your heart chakra. And when people work with a goddess for their heart chakra, it could be a simple picture you printed out from your computer. Some people have statues, little figurines, things of that. For example, when I work with the mother Gaia, I have just this little figurine that's double-sided. But I work with that. It's just a small little figurine. It doesn't have to be anything super huge. But the other thing I work with is I work with Freya, and I just have a picture that I saved. Just a picture. So you can, you know, just print a picture off on your computer if you can. You know, for a while I had a picture of Danu up on my home screen on my phone. So every time I looked at my phone, she was there. So, you know, that you can be creative with how you want to work with them. But for the goddesses for the heart chakra, the one I picked, I'll go over a couple other ones, but the one I picked primarily was Ain. And again, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. It's A-I-N-E. It's Irish, so I'm probably not saying it correctly. She is the goddess of wealth, love, and sovereignty. She's also the goddess of the sun and the moon. A lot of gods and goddesses are not just necessarily one particular thing. They're usually goddess of several different things. So again, Ain and the Irish goddess of wealth, love, sovereignty, also the goddess of the sun and the moon. So she's the goddess of time, so beginning and endings. She attracts new love or eases loss of old love. So she's a good one to work with. So if your heart chakra is you're trying to call in love, she does that. She attracts new love. If your heart chakra, what you're working on is getting over a broken heart, she can also do that for you as well. And I'm particularly fond of the Irish Celtic religion, spirituality, gods, goddesses. I don't really know the politically correct word to use anymore. But if you wanted to work with some other goddesses, Ishtar is a Sumerian goddess of love. Hera is the Greek goddess of love. And Kuan Yin is not really a goddess. She comes from the Buddhist, again, I don't know, spirituality, religion. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I just really don't always know. But in Buddhist, Buddha was not a god. He was a man. And so Kuan Yin was a woman who was considered to be of very high spirituality. If you look up the definition, it was basically able to reach nirvana, but decides not to. So they're really not quite gods or goddesses in the Buddhist religion. But Kuan Yin is very popular. You'll see her around quite a bit if you know what you're looking for. But she is all over the place. I moved my light to a different spot, and apparently my computer doesn't like that, but I really don't want to play with it too much because I am afraid it's going to fall down. So, anyway. Moving on to gemstones. So gemstones that you might want to use if you are... Morning, Lynette. Thanks for popping on with me. We're talking about tools for the heart chakra today. So we just went over the goddesses. So real quick, the Irish Celtic goddess was Ain, and Ishtar, Hera, and Kuan Yin were some of the ones that you could work with if you wanted to work with some sort of goddess deity. Like I said, Kuan Yin wasn't really a goddess, but she is also a good figure to work with. And we talked about you can work with, statues. You can find them pretty easily nowadays. Go to a metaphysical shop. Amazon has them. You can usually just Google it and they'll come up for if you want little statues and stuff. But sometimes even the little statues can be a little pricey. So one of the other things I suggested was just print out a picture from your computer, and that's a nice little project you could do. You could put it in a frame, you could decorate the frame, and make a nice little craft out of it as well. The other thing that I do is I put them on my screensaver or my home screen of my cell phone. So every time I use my phone, it's right now it's Danu that's on there that I've been working with. So some interesting different ways. If you don't have a figurine, especially if you want to make an altar space and you don't have a figurine, just get a little printout of a picture, and you can go to the dollar store, get a little frame. You can get little glue things at the dollar store, and you can glue whatever you want on there. Use green and pink colors because that's the colors of the heart chakra. Flowers, ribbons, gemstones, rhinestones, really, just whatever you want, and make a nice little piece out of that if you wanted to. So we're going to move on to the gemstones. And so some of the ones that you could work with for the gemstones is pink tourmaline. So pink tourmaline is going to bring in like an unconditional love. So again, if you are working on your heart chakra and kind of try to, and I don't think for most of us it's hard. I think most of us can pretty easily pinpoint if we are suffering from a lost love or a lack of love. Or we're suffering from a lack of love because we haven't got over a lost love. So kind of try to figure out what it is that you need to maybe start with working with. So if you are like, well, I can't seem to attract a new mate, maybe it's because you haven't gotten over a past love. So maybe that's what you need to work on before you need to work on calling in a new mate. Other times, and I don't want to go too complicated into this, but sometimes if you're having a hard time calling in love, it's because you haven't really loved yourself. So again, you can work with that in your heart chakra. That's a whole conversation we could go with, but sometimes it's self-love that you need to work on. So just kind of figure out what it is that you need to work on, and then depending on where you are at with that might make a little bit of a difference of which stones or gods or goddesses or whatever that you're going to choose to work with. Or you could choose to work with all of them, or like I said at the beginning, you could just choose to not work with any of them if you don't want to. But so pink tourmaline is unconditional love. So like I might want to work with that for me and my husband, that I have love. We're married. We've been married a long time, but maybe I just want to call in a little bit more unconditional love. So I could maybe work with that if I wanted to. Mango calcite is something you might want to work with if you are suffering that broken heart, that loss of love. You know, again, and Ain, the Celtic goddess, is, you know, eases suffering of an old love or a lost love. So again, you can just kind of piece together the tools that you want to use for your own individual purposes. Rose quartz is going to magnify love. I thought I was looking around this morning. I have my stones scattered all over the place. So rose quartz, I have a little piece right here. I have a bigger piece, but I don't know where it is. I move them around when I use them, and then I don't always put them back. The next one is Garasol. I don't believe I have a piece of that. And that's more of a renewal of energy. So that might be if you have a partner and you can kind of feel maybe you're drifting apart, or you just really want to kind of reignite things. You could work with that, because that'll be that renewal energy for you. Rhodochrosite. I know I have these around here somewhere. It's just a matter of finding them. This is a little piece of rhodochrosite. Again, you can't see it worth crap because of this new light. Can you see here? It's kind of, it's pink, but it has like it's pink. There. It's pink, but it has like tannish white spots in it. Kind of like a marbly look. This whole lighting thing is a pain. There, you can see it a little bit right there, how it's got some whites and some browns in it. I have a very bright light because I was trying to get rid of the camera screen on my glasses, so you could see my eyes, which you can still see a little bit of the camera screen, but now you can also see the dots from the lights. But at least you can see a little bit of my eyeballs now. Before it was just like a glared on my lenses. You couldn't see my eyes at all. So I'm trying to figure it out, but it's better for my glasses, but now I can't. When I try to show you something, it just looks like a white blob. All right, so moving on to chrysoprase. My piece of chrysoprase is still over next to where I sit on the couch. I haven't brought it back over here yet. I worked with it like a couple of weeks ago, and it's still sitting over there. But you know, I don't mind that they're all over the house. Kind of has the energy all over the place instead of just in one little spot. But still trying to catalog them all. It's taking time. One of the other things that you might want to work with is ruby. That's a little bit more towards your sacral chakra. But if you were trying to call in a little bit more of a passionate love, again, that passion, that desire, all of that is more towards your sacral chakra. But if that's a kind of love that you're trying to call in, you could work with a ruby. But again, it doesn't really go with the heart chakra. It goes more with the sacral chakra, with the desire and passion, lust, all that stuff. But I thought I'd just throw that in there for you. If you want to know more about that, you can go back and watch my other videos. So we've done the earth chakra, we've done the root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus chakra. Now we're at the heart chakra, and next week we're going to talk about the throat chakra. And then we will continue up. So we'll have the throat chakra, the third eye chakra, the crown chakra, and then the earth star chakra. Not the earth star, the I can't think of it now. drawing a blank. My God, that's horrible. Total blank. Soul Star Chakra. Goodness gracious. I was like, I was thinking star, but I was like, I don't think that's right. But it is Soul Star Chakra. All right. So moving over to herbs and oils that you could use. So there's quite a few. I'll go over a couple of them, and then the rest of them I'm just going to list for you. And at any particular time, if you want to know more information about something, you can always just put a comment on the video, and I will answer you. Or, you know, a lot of people just private message me, and I message them back. So whatever is, whatever feels right for you, that is perfectly fine. If you don't want to put it in the comments, because some people have, you know, more of a personal thing that they don't always want on the comments, so sometimes they private message me. But whatever is easiest for you, I don't care. I'll answer you either way the best I can. So herbs and oils, and you can mix these up. So if you have it in the herbs and you don't have it in the oils, you can work with it that way. If you have it in the oils and not in the herbs, you can use it that way. If you have both, you know, you could work with both of them. You could make some incense. You could diffuse them. You know, you can always make any kind of body scrub, bath bombs, oil blends, incense. Really, when it comes to herbs and oils, it's pretty, I don't want to say endless, but pretty close to endless to what you could do with them. You can, you know, if you're a crafty person, you can make soaps with them. You can make candles with them. I'm more of an on-the-fly kind of person. So if I wanted to work with them, I would just light my charcoal disc and grab the ones I need. They're all in, you know, all my stuff is in little bags. So I would just pull out the ones I would want to work with and throw them on the charcoal disc and be done with it. And for oils, I usually just, you know, if it's something I don't have made up, I do have a lot of different blends and perfumes and stuff made up, but if it's something I don't have made up, usually what I do is I just put a little bit of hand cream, anything that's like unscented. I usually just have like a plain coconut or cocoa butter cream that's unscented, and I just put a couple of drops of each of the oils in and just mix it up and use it that way. So I don't always make up containers of things, because honestly my bathroom is getting filled up pretty quickly. I'm going to need an addition onto the house just for my my different kinds of blends. So if I don't have one made up, I don't always make one unless it's something I want to work with on a continuous basis. But if it's just something like if I just wanted to call in maybe some calming today, if I didn't have something made up for that, that's what I would do, is just put a little bit of, like I said, coconut cream or cocoa butter, anything like that, just a little bit, quarter size, you know, in your hand, and then put 1 or 2 drops of whatever the oils you're going to want to work with. Just, you know, mix it in and then use it. That's what I do. Side note here, that's what I do with my face. I have a face cream. It's just a plain moisturizer, and I put a little bit in my hand, maybe about a dime size, and I put a couple of drops of lemon oil in there. That helps cut down the grease on my skin, because my skin is really greasy, oily. Yeah, I'm 47 years old and I still have really oily skin like a teenager. I hate it. Everybody else says, oh, you're so lucky you don't have dry skin. I'm like, no, I have like really super oily skin, and my skin and face still breaks out. But anyway, so I use lemon to help cut down the oil on my skin. And then I use frankincense, which helps with wrinkles, which I don't have a lot of wrinkles, but I do have this right here. And that's from years of being blind and squinting to see things. So I'm always trying to remind myself not to squint because I don't want to make that worse right there than it already is. But I use frankincense to help with that. So depending on whether or not you have oily skin or dry skin, and I do have blends that I sell if that's anything you're interested in. I do have an oily skin blend and a dry skin blend. So depending on where you are with that, or if you're like, well, I don't really have oily skin, I don't really have dry skin, but I am worried about maybe some wrinkles and toning or something like that, just again, private message me and I'll mix you up something. You know, I have quite a few people who will be like, I want something relaxing, but I want something that's got this in it, and I really like this scent, and I will mix something up and have them try it, and if they like it, then, you know, it's theirs, and if they don't like it, then I'll try again, you know. I'm fine with that. I want you to be wearing something that you like. Sometimes, side note again, when you are working with medicinal blends, so if you're working for something with the heart chakra, you know, sometimes when we're working with a medicinal blend, it's not always the best scent. I enjoy them. I don't mind the different smells of essential oils. Some people don't particularly care for it. They're like, oh, I just want everything to smell like vanilla and roses. And it's like, well, if you're working with certain chakras or certain medicinal blends, they're not going to always smell like vanilla and roses. So just a note there. Medicinal blends and perfumes are really two different kinds of uses. All right, so back to where we were. Herbs and oils. Sometimes I get sidetracked, people. Hawthorn berries are really good. If you have hawthorn berries, you can dry them and just put them right on your incense burner, on your charcoal disc. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is a charcoal disc. You can buy them pretty much in a metaphysical store. You can buy them online on Amazon. That's where I get mine. Usually they come in a strip of 10. And I buy a box of 10 strips. So it's 100 cones and it's like 10 or 12 bucks. And, you know, so it lasts me a little while, a month or so, but I burn them a lot. You know, so I burn them on a pretty regular basis in between my 5 million incense sticks that I burn. But you just light this and you'll know it's lit when it starts to make like a little crackly fizzy sound. And then you'll see there's like a little cup in there. And you just put it, so the rounded side, see how it's kind of rounded? Rounded side down, cup side up, and you just put your herbs right in there to burn. So if you wanted to work with your hawthorn berries, you would dry them, and then you could just put 3 or 4 in there, and they won't roll off because of that little lip. You can use anything for herbs on there, but that is a charcoal disc if you are not familiar with that. Again, just go to Amazon. Like I said, you can get them really inexpensively. If you're local, I know Deep Arts in Littleton sells them for, I think a 10-pack is like $1 or $2. So if you don't want to buy a big box, you can buy smaller ones as well. But I'm sure there's other local places around that sell them as well. But or if you're not local to my local, just find your local metaphysical shop, and crystal shops a lot of times will have them, even if they, you know, depending on the crystal shop. But again, if you can't find it local, just go to Amazon. Jasmine is another. Oh wait, we didn't go over hawthorn berries. See, I'm jumping around today. Hawthorn berries are a healer of the heart, so they are going to also help cleanse out any negative energy that's in your heart. So anything that's not really suiting you, whether it be anger, hatred, because the balance of love is hate. You know, it's not always nice to think about that stuff, but it's the truth. So hawthorn berries are going to help just clear out any kind of negativity in your heart that isn't going to be there to be serving your higher good. Jasmine is, again, probably a little bit more towards the sacral chakra, but, you know, worth mentioning. It's going to bring in a little bit more of that passionate kind of love. So if that's the kind of love you're looking for, you could work with jasmine. And again, no judgments. Maybe you have a partner and you're trying to call in a little bit more of that passionate love. Or maybe you're single and you don't really want to be in a relationship and you just want some passionate love, and that's all you're looking for. And hey, like I said, no judgments. That's your business, not mine. And so maybe, you know, you work with jasmine for that purpose as well. You know, and I don't say these things to shame or judge or anybody. I just want everybody to know the different ways that you can work with these different things. And it's still allergy season here, so I apologize for the sniffles. Lavender is typically more of a relaxing kind of herb. So lavender is usually used more when people call me and say I can't sleep, or I'm really anxious. I'll recommend some lavender. But it can also bring some peace and love. So maybe you have a partner and you guys are on maybe a little bit of a bumpy path right now, and you just want to kind of bring some peace and tranquility to that relationship. You can use some lavender. And side note again, I have threatened to smudge my husband. Sometimes he comes home a little grumpy from work. He has a stressful job, and sometimes he comes home and he forgets to leave that at work. And I have told him I'm going to smudge him if he doesn't behave. So, you know, a good way to do that is, you know, just again, charcoal burner. I would never recommend smudging somebody without their permission. The whole sneaky thing is really not anything that I would recommend. But being the woman of the house, I guess, whatever you want to call it, a lot of times when I'm making the bed, I will spray the pillows cases or the sheets with some clearing blends. So just when we go to bed, so I do his side and my side. Some of the other things, you know, like I said, is the charcoal discs. You can just burn them in the house or in the room, and that way I don't think that you need to get permission from the other your partner. But if you're gonna directly smudge them or directly try to influence them with herbs or oils, I do recommend getting their permission first. You know, if you want to put on some perfume, like if you wanted to wear some jasmine oil when you go to bed, I don't think you need permission for that either. But you know, if you're going to put oil on somebody or directly do something to them, being sneaky is, you know, not something I recommend. But so the last one I'm going to go over is marjoram. And again, it is for peace and tranquility and love. So again, if you're in a relationship and maybe you're having a little bit of a rocky road going on for you or something, you might want to work with that. Morning. Thanks for popping on. I know I'm like super early in the morning and it's hard for people to pop on, so I do love it when people pop on and say good morning. So thank you. So we were just going over some herbs and oils for the heart chakra. And so if you did want to make yourself a nice little perfume to work with. You know, I would recommend the jasmine, the lavender, and the marjoram. You could mix together in a little bit of, you know, maybe jojoba oil or some rosehip seed would be good as well, because then you're getting that little bit of that rose energy in there as well. So you could work with a nice little blend that way if you wanted to. You could also, you know, mix these up again. When you're talking about herbs and oils, there's so many things you can do. If you make up a nice little oil blend, I tend to put it in my hair. The underside of my hair gets really dry and frizzy, so I'm always putting oil in my hair. You can just wear it as a perfume. You can put it in your diffuser. Sometimes if I have unscented candles, I will put some of it in the candle when the candle is burning. Like I said, you can make body scrubs. You can make sprays. I spray. I have one that's to help clear out negative energy, and I spray our sheets with it. So there's so many things you could do. So if you are not sure what you want to do, again, reach out to me. I can help you depending on what it is you're looking for, what the purpose that you're looking for, and, you know, different ways that maybe it's best for you. Because one of the things I hear from a lot of people is they live in an apartment building and they can't burn candles, they can't burn incense, you know, they can't burn anything like that. And so we can always figure out different ways to work with those different herbs and oils. Some of the other ones you can work with, I'm not going to go in detail about all of them because we'd be here forever. But some of the other herbs or oils you could work with would be rose, thyme, cilantro, parsley, palmarosa, cacao, cardamom, black spruce, and bergamot. Bergamot is like one of my all-time favorites. It is in my signature blend, which is called Sasta. So if you haven't tried that before, you might want to try that. Sasta is the Gaelic word for, basically translates to happy. And bergamot makes me happy. So, yeah. So, again, going back real quick, if you have thyme, cilantro, and parsley, say in your herb cupboard, you could simply take a candle and sprinkle some of those into the candle. You could get a charcoal disc and sprinkle them right on the charcoal disc. You don't need to go out and buy anything particularly special. You don't need to go to an herb shop or metaphysical shop if there's things you already have. Quick note on the cacao. A really great way to work with cacao is how I work with it. I have it in a powder form. You can, again, buy it on Amazon. You can get like a pouch of it for, you know, I think I maybe paid $15. I don't remember. I've had it for a while. It lasts a long time. And I just put a teaspoon of it in my coffee. So, again, that's a good way to work with that type of energy and things. Is you can consume them. So again, if you're maybe looking for a romantic evening, you maybe that's why people eat Italian. But you could put a little bit of that thyme and that cilantro and that parsley into your food. You know, just what I would recommend is when you're adding those particular ingredients into the food, that you use a little bit of intention. And there's a lot of videos out there right now. I don't really get into it too much, so I haven't really done any videos, but you could search it on YouTube, I'm sure. Is cooking with intention. And so that, you know, if you wanted to try to Google it and search it, cooking with intention. It's also called kitchen witchery is another way you could look at it. So it is manifesting and setting intentions in your daily cooking. So again, if I was putting my cacao in my coffee, as I put it in and I stir it, I can stir it and set the intention that I'm using this to open and balance my heart chakra for my highest good. I'm calling in love for my highest good. It doesn't have to be anything super fancy, just being aware and setting the intention at the time that you're doing it. So, all right. So we have gone over all of those. Oh, the one thing I did want to mention really quick too is one of the things I've done is I took a glass bottle that I just got at the dollar store in olive oil that I purchased, and I have poured the olive oil into the glass bottle because I didn't want to use the whole bottle of olive oil, so I got a smaller bottle. And I put the thyme, the cilantro, and the parsley into the oil and let it set that way. And it's still setting. I haven't used it yet, but at some point I will use that bottle. If something calls for olive oil, I will use that bottle that is infused with the herbs. So that's another way you can work with them. Really, people, get creative. There's like I said, there's so many different ways you can work with these herbs and oils. So if you're like, oh, I can't wear oils, that's fine. We'll certainly find another way for you to work with these things. All right. So moving on to the major arcana. Take down last month's guy. Last month we worked with the Emperor, and I leave these cards out. I do work with these energies as well. So last month was the Emperor that we worked with, so we're going to put him back in the box. And Heart Chakra, we're going to work with the Lovers. All right, so the Lovers, obviously most people, I won't say all people, but most people working on their Heart Chakra are trying to, like I said, call in a love or get over a love, mend a broken heart, and that typically all goes around a partner. Not always. Some people just close their heart off to most everybody, which is very sad. But for this purpose, for the major arcanas, we're working with the Lovers. So it represents physical partners, the idea of union. So that is the card that we're going to work with. One of the things is if you are trying to call in a new love, a new partner, one of the things you could do is on a piece of paper, you could list some of the qualities of the partner that you're looking to call in. One of the things that I like to do, I'm not working with calling in a partner, I'm married, but when I am trying to call in something, attract something, what I like to do is write them on bay leaves, and then I put the bay leaves on my charcoal disc and burn them. So you could do something like that. So maybe, if you're trying to call in somebody, maybe you want him to be somebody that's got a great sense of humor, a sense of adventure, and kind. And so you could write each one of those on a bay leaf and then burn the bay leaf to call that in. So we're going to put these guys right up there. And so moving on to the planet, it's Venus. Venus is the planet that rules our love, rules how we love. All things about love is ruled by Venus. So some of the things, again, if you're working on love, again, is pinpointing what it is that you're trying to work on. Like I said, for example, if you're married, like me, and you're just trying to maybe call in some unconditional love. Or if you are suffering a breakup and you're trying to get over that love, that's another thing. If you're just trying to call in love, you're having a hard time calling in love. if you're working on self-love, or maybe you're not necessarily trying to get over a lost love, but maybe you suffered a broken heart and you're just not like in a place where you think you're able to open your heart back up to anyone particular. So those are all different things, you know, it can be even more than that, but you know, those are some of the more common ones. So do a little journaling if you can. I'm not a big journaler, I'll tell you that. I really don't like to journal, but I'm constantly in my head, so I guess I journal, I just don't write them down. But you could, you know, just find a question and journal on it. So two of the questions that I wrote, actually one of the questions I wrote down is, do you allow love to bloom? So when maybe Mr. or Mrs. Right has come to you and you haven't really let them in or opened up to them. So just kind of figure out again where you want to focus your energy around your heart chakra, where you need to do your healing work, and do a little journaling on that. I find a lot of times, again, I don't necessarily write as far as journaling, but my brain goes a million miles an hour. And a lot of times, by the time I get to the end of my thought process on things, I've realized in that thought process, I have already answered my own question. So journaling is a good way to do that, and then go back and read through it. And again, most of the time, you've answered your own question. Sometimes people, I think, get a little irritated because they'll ask me something, and I'm like, you already know the answer. I'm like, your answer was in your question. And they're like, no, I want you to tell me the answer. And I'm like, no, I'm not telling you the answer. If you want to know an herb to work with, I'll give you that. If you want to know an oil to work with, I'll give you that. But if you want me to give you an answer about your life, no, those come from you. I'll help you get there, but those come from you. But I do find a lot of times people have answered their own question in the question. So, all right. So Venus, I don't have a picture of Venus. I don't have a planetary symbol of Venus. Again, if you really wanted to, you could just print something off the computer if you wanted. Get a screenshot of the planet Venus and make it your screensaver on your phone or your computer. Be creative, you know, if you want to work with that. When I work with the planets, I don't have visuals for them, and I'm usually a pretty visual person. I have lots of things around on my space that are visuals for me, but for whatever reason, not so much with the planets. But I usually just call in the energy. So calling in the energy of Venus. So moving on to the runes, because we're starting to run out of time here, and I am just learning runes. I just got a book on runes. I just put it in my bedroom. I've put the link up a couple of times before. Josh Simons, who is local to my area, just wrote a book on runes, and it is up on Amazon. I will put the link up again today at some point in the group on the page, if you're interested in that. But I just got the book. I haven't even had a chance to open it yet. I'm finishing up 2 other books that I have started, and if I get into 3 books at one time, I'm gonna start confusing myself. So I'm trying to finish up the other 2 books before I start on that one. But again, pronunciation is probably not going to be correct. So for runes, and remember, these are flipped because of the camera. This is, it's Kenshi, and I'm going to say Knaz. And this is a rune for romantic and erotic love. So if you're trying to call in that energy, you could work with that rune. This is a little set my husband and I made. He cut the little pieces. A stick fell in the backyard after a storm, and he sliced them into little thin slices, and then I used the wood burner to make them. And this one, and I'm going to spell it for you, and then I will pretend to pronounce it. It's Ingwaz, Ingwaz. And again, I have no idea if that's correct or not. And this is for if you're calling in more of a familial love. So family, you know, if you've got some issues going on with maybe some family members, and you want to work with some of that love energy, you could work with that. Or like if you, my kids are grown and gone, but if you are, you know, a married couple and the kids are in the house and maybe there's some stuff going on in the house that's making some issues, some tenseness, some distancing, again, you could, you know, work with this rune for that as well. All right, so I'm going to go over real quick. We have just a few more minutes. Some of the archetypes that you could work with if you so wanted. Again, it would be the Lovers, just like the tarot card that we are going to work with, the Major Arcana Tarot card, the Lovers. So again, kind of that duality, feminine, masculine energy. You could work with the soulmates, and that's kind of on the theory of that you're fated for each other. Soulmates are fated to be together. So you could work with that kind of energy. The other one that you could work with is the twin flame. The twin flame, and I've done videos on the differences between soulmate and twin flame. You can go back and find those videos, again, either on the page or on my YouTube channel if you want more information on that, because I did a whole video on just that. Soulmate is who you are fated to be with here in the physical. Your twin flame is your other half that is never here when you are here, if that makes sense. So kind of the theory is that somehow we were split, and we both can't be on the planet at the same time, in this dimension, in this realm, however you want to look at it. So when one of us is here, one of us is still in wherever you choose to call it. Heaven, astral plane, Summerland, I don't know. There's a million different things you could call for it. Morning, Morgan. Is it late where you are? Because it's like super early here. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. Oh. Morgan is my BFF from Australia. I don't really know many people from there, but Morgan is my my special friend from there. So twin flame, you can work with twin flame energy, and again, so it is your other half of your spirit that is not physically here when you are here. And again, if you want more information on that, I did a video, I think it was probably a while ago. I'm thinking it was like last February, maybe around Valentine's Day. So like a little over a year ago, I did that video. So if you really want more information on the soulmate and the twin flame, go ahead and go back and find that video, and that'll answer some more of those questions for you. But you can work with those archetypes if you're working on your heart chakra. So again, the Lovers, the soulmates, and the twin flames are all really good archetypes to work with. So So we've gone over the goddesses, we've gone over the gemstones, the herbs, the oils, the major arcana, the planets, the runes, and the archetypes of all the different things you can work with for your heart chakra. I don't expect that all of those things are going to necessarily call to you. And when I give you all of this information, I don't really expect you to go out and get all of these things either. I try to give you a wide variety of things. So if there's something you already have, you can work with it, or you can pick the things that really seem to, call to you or resonate with you. I have certain people who will tell me, I don't want to know about the gemstones. I don't care about the gemstones. Just make me a blend. And that's perfectly fine. Everybody is different. Then I have other people who could care less about the incense and the oils and really want to know just about the gemstones. But I give you all of this information for you to kind of pick and choose what feels right to you to work with. So if you don't feel called to work with the runes or the tarot deck, that is perfectly fine. If you don't feel called to work with a god or goddess, that is perfectly fine as well. So mix and match, make it your own, and what feels right to you. Because if it doesn't really feel right to you, it's probably not something that you're really meant to work with. I am, for the most part, drawn to the herbs and the oils. And then after that is the gemstones, and that I work with the most. And then I'd say next after that would be goddesses that I would work with. I'm not particularly called to the archetypes. I'm not particularly called to the tarot deck. And I'm not particularly called to work with the planets. I do work with some of those things at times, but those are not my go-tos. So again, and the runes I'm just learning. The runes I am just starting to learn. And I just got my book, and I will post a link of that book for you if that's something you're interested in. It's on Amazon. His name is Josh Simons, but I can't remember. I think it's just like the beginner's guides to runes or something like that, but I can't remember the title exactly. I just got it. So anyhow, that is the Heart Chakra tools in a nutshell. So again, if you have any questions, any comments, go ahead and put them here, or go ahead and feel free to private message me as well. If I don't know the answer to your question, I can usually, get some information or guide you to a direction of getting the answer. And I think that's pretty much it. I do appreciate the comments. Again, I know I'm super early, but it's the only time I have the house really to myself. If I tried to do this in the evening with my husband here and stuff, it would be very distracting for me, which would, be very distracting for you. So for right now, this is when we are going to do them. My whole plan is at some point I will have my own space to do this, whether it's, a room in the house or something we add on or whatnot. At some point I'm hoping to have a space to do this. And so when I get ready to do a video, I could go to that space, close the door, and do these videos. Because as you can see right now, we are in the main part of my house, which is the living room, and the kitchen is all open. It's one room. And like I said, if I did this with my husband here, no fault of his, but I get very easily distracted. I have kind of a squirrel brain, and even if he was outside doing things, it would still be distracting to me. So Right now it's early in the morning, but I'm hoping at some point I'll get to change that. I just don't see that it'll happen anytime in the near future, but we will go with the flow. All right, and so I'm going to sign off. My doggie, who is camera makes everything backwards. My doggie, who is right there in the crate, had to have surgery on her spine, so we are nursing her back to health. And so I have to go give her her medicine, and then I have to go to my muggle job. So I'll see you guys all back here on Monday for next week's forecast. So we'll go over different kinds of astrological things, energies, full moons, new moons, eclipses, all that stuff. Things for you to do. I usually go over some sort of a gemstone for each day if you want to work with a gemstone. So I will see you back here on Monday for that. And then next Thursday, we're going to talk about our throat chakra. And then the Thursday after that, we're going to do some sort of crafting for Litha, summer solstice. And then the week after that, we will talk about the throat chakra tools. So that's pretty much going to take up the month for us of June, which is so crazy that we're in June in this crazy year. I know you guys have all seen it on Facebook, I'm sure, but pretty much this year is Jumanji. We are in a game of Jumanji this year with all this craziness that is going on. So, you know, I always tell you guys, be kind. Your kindness is not only going to change your day, improve your day, it's going to change the day of someone else, and it could potentially change their lives for the better. And right now, in this time of all this craziness, we really, really, really do need to do our best to spread as much kindness as we possibly can. And trust me, I struggle with it too. I have to remind myself several times a day at work to be kind. And my anger is only really affecting myself, but it does affect the others around me. But I don't want to spend my day angry. I don't want to spend my life being angry. So I do have to remind myself as well to be kind. I do really well, like, you know, in the grocery store, if there's the woman in front of you who's paying her $80-something bill in pennies and coins and has to count it all out. And, you know, I'm very fine with that. You know, typical interactions throughout the day. I'd love to let somebody go in front of me in line if they don't have very many items. You know, things like that, things of kindness like that come very easy to me, but sometimes for the bigger things is where I have to dig in and still do some work when somebody really pushes my buttons. And I have to take a step back and remember to be kind. But we really, really do need to be kind as much as possible right now with all this craziness going on. The scales are tipping more towards the anger and the violence right now, and we need to do what we can to tip it back the other way and balance that out a little bit. So I wish you all a happy weekend and lots of love, and thanks for watching. And if you could like, comment, share, invite some friends that you think might be interested to the Facebook page, or, you know, you can send them my YouTube channel link if you think that's something they're interested in. Facebook, I just converted everything from a group over to a page, which was a pain in the butt, but it really needed to be done. And yesterday I hit 400 likes. So for So some of those really big groups and big pages, 400 is not a big deal, but in a matter of probably a month or so, changing it from the group to the page, I've got 400 likes. So I'm really happy with that. You know, my theory is I'm not going to necessarily help all 400 of you, but on a daily basis, if I can reach one of you, share something with one of you, enlighten one of you, then my day was worth being here for. So thank you for being here. I love you guys. And I will see you on Monday. Have an awesome weekend.